Now, about 400 specially invited guests, including Asian business tycoons, politicians, peers and people from the world of entertainment, have been gathering tonight in central London for the annual Asian Who's Who Awards. The event marks 35 years since the idea was born for a guide to the great and the good of the Asian community. Our correspondent Sangeeta Maiska is live at the Dorchester Hotel in Park Lane, where the award ceremony has been taking place tonight. Sangeeta.
That's right, as you say, many of the great and good in terms of leading business figures and politicians within the British Asian community are all here tonight. If you take a little look over my shoulder, you can see that the awards section of tonight is now over and they're now tucking into their meals. But I'm very pleased to say that many of the dignitaries and, of course, the award winners here tonight are still with us. And therefore, I can introduce you to Manak Dalal, OB, who has won tonight's Leadership in Heritage and Culture Award, and also Suman Bachar, who is a filmmaker and a journalist. First to you, Mr. Dalal, thank you very much for joining us, and many congratulations on your award. Now, the reason you won your award is because you've been chairman of the biggest Indian cultural institute outside India for the past 30 years, called the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Many of our viewers wouldn't have heard of that. Could you explain to them what it is and why it's so significant?
The answer is really quite simple. The Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is a center of learning. Vidya stands for learning, as you know. And we teach nearly 900 students every year a variety of 22 different subjects. But the main purpose of the Bhavan in the UK, it was the first center overseas, was to show the British public what Indian culture is all about. And very little is known about Indian culture. We Indians, to a great extent, unwittingly, are very westernized and always think that everything which is in the West is really excellent and worth pursuing. We don't realize the depth or the old nature, the entirely old, thousands of years old nature of Indian culture, which is not only very beautiful, not only in visual arts very decorative, but it's very strong and it's very durable. And we want to bring that out as strongly as we can, that Indian culture will survive. And frankly, I'd like Indians in this country to see what Indian culture is about. Very few Indians really pursue Indian culture properly, to learn the basis of it.
Now, I'd like to bring in Suman Bachar at this point. Suman, you're working much more with the British Asian scene, so moving away from Mr. Dalal's work in terms of pure Indian culture and very much focusing on the British Asians that are coming up in Britain now. How do you think British Asian culture is developing, and what are the key points that viewers might be looking out for in terms of music, dance, and culture?
I think it's interesting. Something like what the Bhavan does is like one side of the coin, and something like what I'm involved in is the other side of the coin. For example, we've just had a wonderful festival of Indian music and dance at Sadler's Wells, curated by a musician, Nitin Soni, and a dancer, Akram Khan. Now, Akram Khan studied classical Kathak with a very eminent dancer called Pratap Pawar, who may well have been teaching at the Bhavan, but maybe not. But the idea is the thing that if he hadn't learned that classical, if you don't know the classical basis of the roots, then you can't interpret it in a kind of contemporary sense. So, we've had Anish Kapoor exhibition at the Royal Academy recently. Now, if you look at Anish Kapoor's work, I can see the Asian influence in it in terms of the color, in terms of the way he does things. And next year, for example, we're going to have an exhibition of miniature paintings in one of the major galleries in the UK, and sitting alongside it, we're going to have the work of the Singh twins, who are from Liverpool, and they paint miniature paintings, but they're interpreting the miniature in the contemporary context. I think we're very lucky in the UK, the British Asian community, that we have this opportunity to learn about our heritage in the very traditional and pure, even though I hate that word, but we know the craft of how it works, but at the same time, because we've had an education and the kind of influence of this country's vast creativity, we have the opportunity to be able to interpret it in a very unique way. And I think that's only something that people in Britain are able to do, really.
Mr. Dalal, do you see young British Asians coming through the Institute wanting to learn not just about pure Asian culture, but wanting to develop it in a uniquely British way?
I would like to see that very much. I think it's a very relevant point you raised. I think the young people are the ones who are sometimes born in this country, and the only culture they're familiar with seeing their peers around them and going to British culture. Now, there's a place for Indian culture in British culture. We firmly believe that. The Scots have their own culture, the Welsh have their own culture. Very easily identifiable and very strong and vibrant in their own sphere. We would like Indian culture to have its rightful place. And we are now tying up to try and get British degrees, Bachelor of Music degrees, through the Trinity College of Music and with London University, to see that our instrumentalists, our singers, can be given degrees which are recognized in this country, so that we have a certain status amongst the general public, that he's a Bachelor of Music or she's a Bachelor of Music and she's doing her stuff.
Certainly something to look out for. Manik Dalal, Suman Bachal, thank you very much indeed for joining us. That's it for now, but plenty more as the evening moves ahead.
Sangeeta, thank you very much indeed.